All right, welcome back to the Daily Brief, where we have been giving you live coverage of events that are happening, plus keeping you up to speed with the top stories of the day and what to expect throughout the day right here on K24 TV. And for now, we're going to be giving you the news diary. And in the corridors of justice, Sarah Wairimu, widow of murdered Dutch tycoon Top Cohen, is expected to be charged with murder today. Wairimu has been behind bars for close to a month now, and her lead counsel, Philip Murgo, will be seeking to have her released on bail. Murgo will also file an application to have the content of Cohen's will read out before court, and of course they are in court right now. It has not begun, so we're definitely going to be giving you more details with regards to that particular court case. And of course, moving on, still at the courts, the divorce case involving Marianne Kitani and Meru Senator Mithika Linturi enters a crucial stage, with key witnesses expected to give submissions. The latest witness to take the stand was Marianne's mother, Rhonda Kipkoech. And moving on, Cabinet Secretary for Education Professor George Magoha is today expected to appear before the National Assembly's Education Committee. The CS is expected to respond to members' parliamentary questions, including the collapse of a school in Dagoretti that killed 8 pupils. Moving on, where ODM party leader is this morning expected to meet various delegations from different counties of Mount Kenya region at Chungwa House, the new ODM party headquarters in Lavington. The former Prime Minister will thereafter address a media conference touching on various matters of national interest. In charge of Interior and Coordination of National Government, that's Fred Matiang'i, will today tour Gatundu constituency in Kiambu to assess the security situation and inspect projects in the area. Matiang'i will be accompanied by Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai. And the CS Labour and Social Protection Ambassador Ukur Yatani will today preside over the launch of the Ministry's Strategic Plan 2018 to 2022. The event will be attended by, among others, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli and representatives from the Federation of Kenya Employers, FKE. Also launching its Strategic Plan 2019 to 2020 today is the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. Now, the event, which is being held at the Boma Hotel in South Sea, will be presided over by Cabinet Secretary in charge of Environment, Keriako Tobiko. And of course, we have been following up on the infrastructure of schools in the country, and right now we'll be crossing over to Kisumu, where our reporter Baraka Karama is on standby and will be giving us an update on the same. So he's got the National Secretary General of Kenya Private Schools Alliance, Charles Ochemo, and of course he will be giving us the latest with regards to what's happening in the area. And of course he has been in a position to take a look at some of the school's infrastructure, and of course he's going to be giving us more details on that at a later time right here on K24 Daily Brief, as we keep following up on what's going on not just in Nairobi but of course in other parts of the country as well. And as we had said earlier on, we are in the corridors of justice, where Sarah Wairimu, the widow of murdered Dutch tycoon Top Cohen, is expected to be charged with murder today. And as you can see on your screens, that is the session in court. It's going on. Apart from that, there is also other cases that are ongoing. So we'll be giving you more details from Milimani Law Courts with regards to what is happening in the corridors of justice. So the court case with Sarah Wairimu, who today will be expected to be charged with murder, is yet to happen. So as soon as it kickstarts, we'll definitely be giving you more details right here on K24 Daily Brief. Now remember, Sarah Warimo has been behind bars for close to a month now, and her lead counsel, that's Philip Murgur, will be seeking to have her released on bail. So as soon as that happens, and of course, as soon as we get more information, we'll be giving you all of it right here on the Daily Brief. But for now, members of the opposition are calling on President Kenyatta not to assent to the IEBC amendment bill, which was passed on the floor of the House this week, saying it will contravene the spirit of the handshake. The bill, passed by mostly members of the Jubilee Party, gives the president the final say in the appointment of both the chair and commissioners of the electoral body, which the opposition claims will short-circuit attempts to introduce agreeable reforms into the country's electoral system to ensure free and fair election. The bill also creates a mechanism for recruiting and replacing commissioners. Daniel Kuryuki has more details.
A heated argument ensued in the National Assembly Tuesday as MPs cast their votes on an Independent Election Boundaries Commission amendment bill that would provide a mechanism for the recruitment of new electoral commissioners anytime vacancies arise. Of the 126 MPs who participated in the afternoon vote, 69 of the lawmakers allied to the ruling Jubilee backed the bill, while 56, mostly from the opposition, voted against it. The opposition had sought to shoot down the bill, claiming it gives the president a lot of influence in the appointment of commissioners to the electoral body, which they claim does not complement the spirit of the handshake.
We do not need piecemeal amendments to the law. We need to, first and foremost, wait for the Building Bridges Initiative Task Force to complete its work and present its report.
According to the bill passed by Parliament, the President will appoint a selection panel consisting of 4 members nominated by the Parliamentary Service Commission and 1 nominated by the Public Service Commission. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Law Society of Kenya, Interreligious Council and the Attorney General's Office will nominate 1 person each. After the selection panel has interviewed and shortlisted names of the chair of the commission and the commissioners, the names will be sent to the president. From the several names shortlisted for the chair of the commission, the president will then pick his choice. He will then forward the name and that of the other commissioners to Parliament for vetting.
Attempting to recruit or to fill the 4 vacancies which are there currently would be doing patchwork.
The custodian remains Parliament. Parliament, with their job for approval, is still intact. It's not taken away.
Opposition leaders say this will negate the very spirit of the handshake, which sought to right these wrongs, as in the past the presidency has used this right to appoint individuals sympathetic to the powers that be. The opposition, led by the ODM leader Raila Odinga, favor a bill presented by Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma that seeks to have political parties have the final say in the selection of the commissioners and chair.
We know there's nobody who's neutral. It's all idea of putting up a panel to go and to select. It will not work. Let's agree that the political parties will nominate members to the Electoral Commission. Because even if you give the Pope a vote, the Pope will vote.
However, elections expert Felix Odhiambo says Kenya has a long way to go before attaining electoral reforms. Felix further says the reforms should be carried out before the next general election, as the constitution of the electoral body has always been a contested issue.
Currently, as the law stands in the country, there's a vacuum.
Currently, there is no mechanism for recruiting commissioners, with observers following keenly on President Kenyatta if he will ascend the bill to law or return it to the House with reservations, with political pundits saying if he ascends the bill, then he will send a negative message to the opposition in regards to the handshake. Daniel Kuryuki, K24 Evening Edition.
All right, of course, moving on to what's currently ongoing. So as we had said earlier, Sarah Warimo, widow of a murdered Dutch tycoon Top Cohen, is currently in court right now. And of course, she is set to be charged with murder today. She will be taking plea, and we're going to be attempting to give you all those details and live coverage as it happens. And of course, Warimo, as I said earlier, has been behind the bars for close to a month now. And her lead counsel, that is Philip Murgo is today seeking to have her released on bail, and Murgo will also be filing an application to have the content of Cohen's will be read out in court today, that is at the Milimani Law Court. So we're going to be giving you live coverage of that particular court case as it happens right here on the Daily Brief, and of course we'll be giving you more details with regard to the same. Now remember, we have been covering stories that are trending and stories that have been making the headlines, and of course stories that have also gone viral on social media. Now there was a very interesting story where an Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, that's EMPD, officer in South Africa has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons. He is in hot water after allegedly being found drunk in uniform with his gun falling off, and this officer was captured on video, cigarette in hand, walking with the weapon dangling in its holster close to a branded EMPD vehicle in Springs in South Africa. And this man who was filming this police officer actually instructed him to give his firearm to a female officer to avoid any further accidents. This video featuring this drunk police officer has been trending on social media platforms globally.
Metropolis, from Binon. Number plate.
Yes, that's in the number plate.
Your gun is falling off. Please, take that firearm away before we all get shot by accident.
Listen, man, I'm standing at the clearance. He's drunk, but it is...
There's alcohol in the vehicle as well.
Okay, don't worry, I'll phone
There's alcohol in his vehicle as well.
So, I moet nou met die kar ry.
You shouldn't be driving because you're under the influence of alcohol.
Het jy my getoets?
I've been asking them to test you, they've refused. That's why this will be posted on YouTube and Facebook. We asked for you to be tested.
Het jy my getoets?
We asked for you to be tested.
Nee,
they refused
maar
us.
Die vraag is, en hy bly nog, het jy my getoets?
I've asked them to test you. Ma'am, can you please test him? I'd like to know his reading. It's again the Metro Police have refused to allow us to test.
And just an update on the same, this officer from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police has been suspended, and this was announced by the executive mayor. His name is Lesiba Mpia, which was announced yesterday. So yes, he has been suspended for being found drunk in his police uniform. Now we're going to be covering other stories as we had said earlier on, and for now we'll be taking you directly to Milimani Law Courts, where Top Cohen's case is still ongoing, and his wife, Sarah Wairimu, today is expected to take plea and to be charged with murder. So let's listen into the latest from the courts. Right, our apologies for the technical glitch with the sound. We're going to try and get a clearer feed at a later time. But for now, taking you to our reporter Baraka Karama in Kisumu, who has been following up the infrastructure in schools in Kisumu County. And right now, he will be speaking to the National Secretary General Kenya Private Schools Alliance, Charles Ochome, on the same. And of course, he'll be giving us the latest with regards to what is happening in Kisumu County when it comes to infrastructure. Good morning to you, Baraka. What is the latest from your end?
Okay, Shiksha, like I'd mentioned earlier, I've managed to get all of the Kenya National Private School Association, the Secretary General Charles Ochome, maybe just to give us a brief about the position of the association in regards to the latest incident that, of course, occurred in Nairobi. And yesterday we saw the CS for Education, George Magoha, of course, closing down schools that he says not in a good condition, and the Kisumu County is not an exception in that particular issue. Of course, we've seen several learning institutions in Kisumu, and to be precise, in Kisumu West constituency, where we see the pupils are living in a time bomb. And of course, we expect the Ministry of Education to move up with speed just to try and look into the plight of the pupils who are learning in the learning institutions that are not in a good condition. Just allow me to engage the section for the Kenya Private School Association just to get his comments and reactions as far as the infrastructure of schools is concerned. Just welcome to the set. Of course, we'd like to know the position of the Kenya Private School Association in regards to the latest move by the CS for Education. Yesterday we saw him in Nairobi. One school has been shut down, going by the condition of that particular institution. What is the position of the association in regards to this particular move as far as the infrastructure of schools is concerned?
Oh, thank you, Baraka, for that question. My name is Charles Ochome, the National Secretary for the Kenya Private Schools. I want to say even today our team was in the meeting the CS and his team about matters education in this country. Yes. It's unfortunate we had a meeting in Nairobi for the last 2 days, but had to come back because of some urgent matters. Yes. But what I would like you to understand on matters schools in this country is that the schools are categorized, I could say, in 3 categories. We have the government schools, those schools solely that are started and managed by the government of the country. And then we have the faith-based schools. These are schools that are started by religious bodies. And I want to say they have also done very well. The infrastructure is very good. Then the third category is the private schools, and those are the schools where I'm the secretary. Yes. And we have another angle of the schools, which is called the amb schools. Yes. These are the schools that are found within the informal settlements in this country, and there are also quite a number. Yes. And I want you to understand from the outset that the Kenya Private Schools register schools that have been registered by the government as a condition. And for a school to be registered by the government, there are the minimum conditions for those schools to be registered. One of them, they must certify infrastructure development of the schools and be able to give to the ministry the roadmap of how they are going to develop the schools. Those are the schools that fall under that I would say talk about the Kenya private schools. Yes. So what the minister is doing is within the law. Yes. And we in the Kenya private schools support it. Yes. That's our position. Yes. And I would also want you to know we are not happy of what happened in Dagoretti. Yes. We don't entertain, we don't encourage anything that endangers the lives of the citizens of this country. And therefore we support the government when it comes to making sure that the learning conditions of the schools are up to date. Because from the outset the school is only registered when it meets the minimum requirements in education. Yes.
Okay. But the privately owned learning institutions, some of them of course engage in some shortcut activities for them to to get the license to operate. As an association, what is the position? Maybe are there any measures that you're putting in place to ensure that such sins do not reoccur?
Yeah, we are discussing with the ministry, and I think the discussions are at an advanced stage. We have those who might want to break the law, and some of them are not our members. So we are discussing mechanism how we can be able to regulate ourselves as private schools. So once this is put in place, it involves a lot, and we are discussing it. We would be able to say for sure this school does not deserve to exist, and we would be in a position to help the government in regulating what is really to be called a school. But at the moment, that has not been in place. Remember the act that made the private schools to be there, I think it's a 2002 act, and it's being developed, and I think these things requires legislation, and we are working with the government, we are working with the National Assembly, and you have heard of late we have taken bills to the Assembly to be able to be up to date in the manner in which the schools are run in this country. Yes, so we are taking charge. We are talking with the government on this. There are things that the government must do. There are things that we must do. There are things that the National Assembly must do for those things to be operational.
Okay. Like in Nairobi County, for example, the governor did accuse those people who are mandated to approve the plans for the construction of various institutions. They say that there was laxity in executing their duties. As an association, what plans are you putting in place to ensure that even after the classrooms are constructed, is there a way you will do to ensure that such tragedy that do not occur? As in, is there any supervision that maybe you tend to do to ensure that you avert such cases?
Yeah, once the regulatory authority of the Kenya private schools comes into force, we will be forced also to, we issue even at the moment certificates to our members. And those certificates, we issue them to those we believe have complied. We want also to recognize that accidents will always occur, but they should not be allowed to occur. We should put all the measures to avoid them. But where it was not possible to avoid, then they would rather call them an act of God, errors that can happen. But those that happen out of negligence, those that happen because somebody did not do something right, those ones we want to do away with. And this is the reason we are discussing with the government to be able to be self-regulatory as a body that is now that is also involved in education in this country. Yes.
Well, Shiksha, that was the Secretary General for the Kenya National Private Schools Association, of course, giving us his brief in regards to the infrastructure development. Of course, we've seen the CS for Education moving up with speed to ensure that all learning institutions must comply the rules and regulations just to try and avert the tragedy that of course we saw earlier this week. So we'll be getting more details and reactions as far as this particular issue is concerned. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Baraka Karama, for that update from Kisumu. All right, it's time right now to cross over to Milimani Law Courts, where the wife of Dutch tycoon Topco Hansara Warimu is today expected to be charged for murder. Let's listen in.
Of that appointment. To suggest that that appointment will depend on Mr. Haji revoking his Gazette notice would be to subject me to slavery and servitude, meaning I am then bonded, bound to work for the DPP and nobody else. Mr. Nordin Haji is a gentleman. It is not his position that has been taken in this court. I probably do not blame Mr. Obeta because he did not know better. He is entitled to ask the question, but he should have asked me first. But whatever the case, just like in the first application, Mr. Obeta should have filed a formal application challenging my capacity to appear in these matters as a defense counsel. So so that I would respond in writing. I mean, by way of affidavit. It is a further fact that they are all aware of that I even attend to the DPP's office in other matters as a defense counsel. More recently, in the Kimwarer and Arora Dam case, where I have been to that office to pick up defense counsel material, 42 volumes of material. And they happily handed me those cartons and cartons of documents without telling me, but you are a prosecutor. So this is all a distraction, a waste of time, and an abuse of process. But on the issue of contempt, I want to go back. So I would request that the court orders my learned friend to file a formal application, that is Mr. Letter, to respond. That can be handled today, tomorrow. But neither issue should affect the issue of taking a plea or dealing with the bail application that we have filed. I go back, I'm reminded that I should go back to the issue of contempt. Your Honor, without going into the application for bail, I want to point out that we have filed a supplementary affidavit. And it has a press cutting, which I wanted to point out to show you. Actually, the question of contempt lies elsewhere, and there's the old saying: when you point one finger, be careful, because 3-4 fingers point back at you. I'd like the court to turn to that press cutting that I have on page 19. You have it? Yes. On page 19, who really has been committing contempt, if at all, we can call it so? It is George Kenoti, the director of CID. Who, after the order was given, could not restrain himself. This gentleman loves publicity. And he gave an interview to a Dutch newspaper where he, page 19 is the translation, where, by the way, the Dutch newspapers have continued writing in total disregard of the newspapers, quoting the Cohens and the investigators. But on page 19, under the title, third from below, under request bail, she had, this is talking about the accused, she had previously requested to be released on bail for the time being in order to protect her possessions, in their own words, for fear that the police are also after the assets. Research leader George Kenoti, it means, translated it means investigator, already described this as ridiculous, but at the same time indicated that the detained woman appropriated part of the inheritance. And then they quote him: "Somebody found guilty of murder can never inherit the murdered person," he explained Kenyan law. But apart from that, somebody who has his partner murdered and then dumps it in a septic tank should never succeed at all, says Kenoti. This is after the order. You can see that the person who has lost control of his mouth, who no longer has any regard for court orders, is the DCI of the Republic of Kenya. And it also shows that the real issue here of denying our client bail is about the DCI seeking to hand over the matrimonial home of the accused to the gentleman here called Bernard Cohen and his sister Gabri Van Straten. I am actually pointing out that the real issue here... No, I was talking about content.
Right, of course, that is at the Milimani Law Court. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that particular court case that is ongoing with regards to Sarah Warimu, the wife of the late Dutch tycoon Top Cohen. Well, for now, it's time for a short break, but we'll be right back. Make sure you're tuned in to K24 Daily Brief.